They mocked her the moment she set foot on the yard. Faded t-shirt, scuffed boots, a backpack that looked like it had survived 2 wars already. Aria Cross didn't look like a soldier. She looked like a lost delivery driver who'd wandered past the wrong checkpoint. The recruits laughed immediately. "Army takes strays now," one called. "Wrong turn." "Sweetheart," another added. The jeers carried across the stone courtyard of Blackthorn Citadel. NATO's harshest crucible for new blood. Aria didn't flinch. She didn't shout back. She just stood there, hands deep in her pockets, face calm, eyes steady like she was waiting for a signal no one else could hear. And that silence. It made the laughter louder. Then came Mason Holt, broad-shouldered golden boy of the camp. He closed in, grin sharp, and before anyone could stop him, he snatched her collar and ripped her shirt straight down the back. The crowd erupted. "See, she's nothing," but then the yard froze. Because ink was staring back at them. Not graffiti, not some drunken mistake. A coiled serpent with shattered fangs, the mark of Phantom Hydra. The flare light from the tower washed over it, and the tattoo seemed to burn alive on her skin. The laughter died instantly. Soldiers, sound off, comment your city below, where are you watching from, and if you're ready for the next mission, hit subscribe now. Even Commander Rourke Vale, mountain of a man. Voice like rolling thunder, stopped in his tracks. But it wasn't him who moved first. It was General Kalen Draven, decorated chest, hair silver with decades of campaigns. He had been watching from the balcony, arms crossed, bored until that moment. Now his eyes went wide, his face drained pale, and in front of every recruit, every officer, every smirking cadet, Draven stepped forward. He straightened his back, and he saluted. The salute cracked louder than any insult hurled at her. The yard went silent. You could hear the wind whip through the iron gates. The recruits blinked, confused, unsettled. Why would a general, someone whose very name carried weight in war councils, salute a girl they thought was a nobody? Mason Holt stumbled back. His grin shattered. His fist loosened around Aria's collar. "What the hell is that mark?" he hissed, voice trembling now. But Aria, she just pulled free. Calm as ever, the torn shirt sliding lower on her shoulders. She didn't answer. She didn't need to, because every soul at Blackthorn knew the whispers. Phantom Hydra wasn't a unit. It was a myth. A covert order erased from NATO records years ago. The few who carried its mark weren't just soldiers. They were weapons. Living promises of a war no one admitted had ever happened. And now one of them was standing in the dirt, with mud on her boots and a backpack barely held together by a single strap. Aria Cross, the lost girl, the one they thought didn't belong. General Draven's voice broke the silence. Rough, uneven, almost fearful. "Who gave you the right?" he demanded. "To wear that insignia?" The courtyard seemed to hold its breath. Every recruit leaned forward, waiting for her answer. But Aria just lowered her gaze. Her voice was steady, quiet. "I didn't ask for it. It was given. That was all." 2 sentences. And suddenly the jeers, the smirks, the cruel laughter felt small, weak, worthless. She turned, walked toward the mess hall, her footsteps slow and deliberate. No one dared follow. Even Mason Holt couldn't breathe right. And as she disappeared into the shadow of the Citadel walls, the question burned hotter than the tattoo itself. Who, exactly, was Aria Cross? They thought the first day was rough. They hadn't seen the Ironvale Ridge crucible. 15 kilometers of jagged terrain, mud pits, and sun-scorched rock gear strapped to their backs. No brakes, no mercy. And in the middle of that formation was Aria Cross, the girl with the torn shirt, the girl with the mark. The jeers hadn't stopped. Sierra Kane, ponytail sharp as a blade, hissed in her ear, "Pick it up, charity case. You're dragging us all down." Aria didn't answer. She never did. Her boots sank in the mud, her pace steady, her breathing calm, like the hill wasn't breaking her, like the weight wasn't crushing her. But Mason Holt, the golden boy, wasn't about to let her keep that silence. He jogged up beside her, shoulder wide, grin cocky. Thrift store gear giving up. Or is that just you? He barked loud enough for every cadet to hear. The group roared with laughter. Then he slammed his shoulder into her. Aria stumbled, dropped to her knees in the mud. The laughter doubled, echoed across the ridge, signing up to mop floors now. Crossholt taunted, but Aria didn't curse, didn't spit. She wiped her hands on her pants, stood back up, and ran, silent, relentless. And for the first time, Holt's smirk twitched. Later, in the weapons bay, came the M4 disassembly drill. 2 minutes. That was the standard. Cadets cursed, fumbled with pins, dropped bolts into the dirt. Holt slammed his rifle together in 1 minute 43, grinning like he owned the place. Sierra scraped by at 1:59, shaking with the last click. The instructors nodded. Barely. Then Aria stepped up. No hesitation, no wasted motion, pin out, bolt free. Parts laid in a perfect grid like she'd rehearsed it in her sleep. 47 seconds, clean, precise, not a mistake. The stopwatch froze in the sergeant's hand. He blinked, then muttered to Commander Vale. Her hands didn't shake, not once. That special force is steady. The yard went quiet. Even the cockiest recruits leaned forward. Holt scoffed. So she can clean a gun doesn't mean she can fight. The words carried, but the edge was duller now, weaker, because the others had seen something. Something Holt couldn't erase with a smirk. During a break, Aria sat on the wooden bench, pulling a granola bar from her pack. Sierra strutted over, 2 cadets in tow, her voice dripping with mockery. Where'd you even come from? Cross win a raffle to get here. Aria chewed slowly, looked up once. I applied, flat, cold, like stating the weather. Sierra's smile faltered. Yeah, well, you don't exactly scream elite soldier. Her friends giggled. Aria leaned forward, eyes steady. I'm not here for you. I'm here to train. For the first time, Sierra Kane stepped back. And yet, the whispers didn't stop. By the time night fell, the recruits weren't sure what to call her anymore. Charity case or something else, something dangerous. The wind howled through Ironvale Ridge that night. The fires burned low, and every cadet turned in restless on their bunks, replaying that stopwatch in their heads. 47 seconds. A record no one had touched. But Mason Holt wasn't done. His pride couldn't let it end there. He was already planning the next move. And when the order came combat drill at dawn, he swore to make sure Aria Cross would break. They said the crucible broke the weak. But the combat drill at dawn, that was where reputations died. And Mason Holt was waiting for his moment. The recruits circled the yard, mud still clinging to their boots from Ironvale Ridge, their fists wrapped, breath sharp in the cold morning air. 1-on-1, hand to hand, no weapons, no excuses. The whistle blew. Holt was paired with Aria Cross, the girl he swore to break. He didn't wait for the signal. Holt lunged, fists clenched, grin wide. He slammed her against the wall so hard the boards shook. The recruits cheered. End it quick. Holt. Her shirt tore at the shoulder, fabric ripping down her back. The yard erupted in laughter until the tattoo appeared in full. A coiled serpent, black ink fangs piercing a shattered skull, the insignia of Phantom Hydra. And the laughter died. It wasn't a rumor anymore. It wasn't half-seen ink under a flare. It was real, marked into her flesh, undeniable. Even Commander Rourke Vale stopped pacing. His jaw tightened. His eyes locked on the mark like it was a ghost. From the balcony, General Kalen Draven stepped forward, his face drained, pale as ash. He spoke, his voice breaking. Who gave you the right to wear that insignia? Holt froze, grip loosening. He glanced at the general, Then back at Aria, confusion flickering in his eyes. "What the hell are you?" he hissed. Aria's voice was steady, low, cutting through the silence. "I didn't ask for it. It was given. By Phantom Hydra himself. I trained under him 8 years. Gasps broke from the crowd. 8 years. Not possible. Phantom Hydra had been erased from records, wiped clean. A myth, whispered only in bars where veterans drank too much. Holt tried to laugh, but it came out cracked. "So you've got ink. Doesn't mean you can fight?" He swung, hard, but Aria moved like water. Every punch missed, every strike sliced air. Her movements calm, effortless, like she was studying him, letting him burn out. "Hit me," Holt shouted, sweat dripping, punches sloppy now. "Come on, hit me." She didn't. She let him stumble, let his arms grow heavy, his breath ragged. Then, in a single, surgical motion, Aria stepped in. Her arm locked around his throat. A twist, a pull. 8 seconds later, Mason Holt collapsed unconscious in the dirt. The yard went silent. Not a whisper, not a laugh. Just the sound of boots shifting uneasily in the gravel. Captain Vale stepped forward, scanning the faces of every recruit, his voice hard as iron, effective immediately. He said, "Aria Cross is your honorary instructor. You will learn from her." The cadets stood frozen, eyes wide, unable to process what they'd just seen. Aria didn't smile, didn't gloat. She pulled her torn shirt closed, grabbed her battered backpack, and walked out of the ring without a word. The circle of recruits parted for her, eyes down, their smirks gone. And as she vanished past the gates, the question lingered like smoke in the morning air. What else was she hiding? They thought the fight had ended the questions. It hadn't, if anything. The whispers only grew sharper. Was Aria Cross really Phantom Hydra's final student, or just a ghost in ink? The next test would answer it. The morning sun carved steel light across the yard as the recruits faced their first aid drill. A casualty dummy lay bleeding under simulated fire. Timer ticking, points on the line. Troy Maddox loud, cocky, desperate to claw back respect, shoved Aria aside. "I got this," he barked. "Don't need charity case screwing it up." He fumbled fast. Bandages loose, blood seeping through the dummy's wounds. The instructor's voice cut sharp. "You're killing him! Cadet!" Maddox froze, face flushed. He jabbed a finger at Aria. "She distracted me." The group laughed, echoing his anger. Aria didn't argue. She stepped forward, her hands steady, unhurried. In seconds the wraps were tight, precise, bleeding controlled. The instructor, Medic Carter, nodded once, impressed. "That's how it's done." He pulled a patch from his kit and pressed it into her palm. "You earned this." The laughter around them broke, cracking into silence. Maddox stormed off, red with shame, but the real test came with the urban simulation that afternoon. The recruits strapped into gear, rifles locked, helmets low. They moved as a squad through the mock city grid alleys wired with trip alarms, windows crawling with role-play enemies. Aria signaled a stop, 2 fingers down. Sierra Kane ignored it. She smirked, rushed ahead, and snapped a tripwire. A siren wailed, red strobes painted the walls. The drill was blown. Commander Vale stormed in. Voice thunder, "Mitchell, your team's a mess." Sierra whispered to Maddox, smirking. "Told you she's useless." Aria stood calm, steady. She broke formation. I signaled her to wait. Sierra shrugged. "Innocent. Didn't see it." The squad snickered, the blame landing on Aria again. Vale's glare cut ice. "Understood, sir," Aria replied. "No protest, no defense." The drill reset, but this time an overhead drone replay flickered across the screen, Sierra clear as day ignoring the signal. The laughter choked. Sierra's face went pale. Vale docked her squad's points, his voice flat. "Disobey again, and you're out." No one laughed at Aria after that. That night, Around the barracks, the recruits sat quieter. They remembered the stopwatch, the chokehold, the patch in her hand, the drone footage. Piece by piece, their certainty cracked, but Aria wasn't looking for their respect. She sat on her bunk, silent, polishing her gear with the same precision she'd shown in every drill. And for the first time, cadets who once mocked her found themselves watching instead of laughing. By dawn, the air at Blackthorn Citadel felt heavier. Something had shifted. And yet, Aria Cross wasn't finished. Because the next challenge wouldn't just test skill, it would demand everything. And when the man in the black jacket arrived at the gate, everything they thought they knew about her was about to shatter. They thought they understood her. They thought the tattoo was the end of the story. It wasn't. It was only the beginning. A week later, the Citadel yard froze as an unmarked black truck rolled through the gates, its engine cut, silence weighing heavier than the steel walls around them. A man stepped out broad-shouldered, storm-gray eyes, jacket black as midnight, no insignia, no rank, but the guard straightened instantly. At his side, General Kalen Draven moved stiffly, his salute sharp. Admiral Jackson Creed. He said every cadet gasped. Creed wasn't just a name. He was a ghost, whispered in mess halls, a shadow pinned to missions no one admitted existed. And then came the words that shattered the camp. He's here for Aria Cross. Aria stepped forward, her face unreadable, hands steady at her sides. For the first time, her eyes softened just slightly when Creed looked at her. You didn't have to come. She said, yeah. He answered, voice low. I did. The cadets watched in silence, their laughter from weeks before now ashes in their throats. Sierra Kane's water bottle slipped from her hand, plastic cracking on the concrete. Holt wasn't even there. Word was he'd been shipped to a remote desk post. Career buried. Creed placed a hand on Aria's shoulder. She didn't flinch. She didn't smile. Together, they walked past the stunned recruits, climbed into the truck, and left the Citadel in a cloud of dust. But her shadow remained, inside the evaluation hall. Officers gathered to review cadet progress. A junior officer, unaware of the storm he was about to walk into, muttered Mitchell Cross lacks leadership. Maybe cut her. Draven leaned forward, voice low as steel. Her file is classified, but I'll tell you this, she could run this camp blindfolded. He slid a sealed envelope across the table, black wax stamped with a coiled Hydra. Her evaluations, he said, from Phantom Hydra himself. The room went silent. The officer opened the file, his face drained with each line he read. No one spoke again. Back in the barracks, the ripple effects tore through the cadets. Sierra Kane's sponsorship evaporated after a leaked video of her mocking Aria went viral. Defense contractors dropped her name like a stone. Maddox grew quieter, shame weighing heavier than any gear he carried. Even Captain Vale's orders grew measured, his voice less brutal, as if he, too, feared what he'd overlooked. But Aria Cross was gone, her bunk empty. Her name still listed as instructor, but she never returned to teach. Some swore she and Creed built a program far off the grid, a place where soldiers became phantoms. Others whispered she vanished like Phantom Hydra himself, swallowed by the same shadow that gave her that mark. The recruits who had seen the chokehold, the rifle precision, the silence stronger than shouting never forgot. They carried her story like a scar, passing it down to each new class. Not a legend, not a myth, the truth. A woman who walked into fire and never flinched. And somewhere, beyond the Citadel, beyond the files stamped black, beyond the reach of command, Aria Cross kept her promise. The serpent mark wasn't ink, it was a vow, a reminder to every soldier who ever felt small, mocked, or broken. Your time is coming. Stand your ground. You're enough. Thank you for watching.